Triolet. Triolet. Triolet.
Triolet.
Triolet.
Triolet.
Triolet.
Triolet.
Triolet. Hey there poetry pals, welcome back to another video. This week I will be teaching you how to write a triolet. A triolet. A triolet? A triolet. Whatever, I'm gonna have you write this poem, not how to pronounce it. This video is going to work by I'm going to define what makes a triolet, and then I'm going to go into a brief little history about it, and then I'm going to walk you through how to write one. It is worth saying that prior to recording, I have never written a triolet, but I'm going to give you my best advice and show you how I would work to write one. What is a triolet? So first of all, it is a French form, and it is French for a clover leaf. You know, like three parts. The tri, or the tri of triolet refers to the three repeating lines. It is a French verse form that consists of 8 lines. They are A-B, A-A, A-B, A-B. And I'll have made these come up on the screen, and the capital letters refer to repeated lines, whereas the lowercase letters just refer to the rhyming lines instead. And the triolet refers to the repeating of the capital A, though because that is repeated 3 times throughout the poem. According to Encyclopedia Britannica, they said that the great art of the triolet consists in using the refrain line with naturalness and ease in each repetition, or at least in relation to the rest of the poem. And generally, it is used to write light and humorous verse. So that's a triolet. Let me tell you a little bit about the history of it, which I think will help us sort of understand the form a little more. It was probably invented in around the 13th century in France, and it was originally used in a serious form, but kind of went out of fashion for a couple of centuries, but came back and was made popular by Jean La Fontaine and a few other people, who then it started being used everywhere in French literature, but explicitly as well in newspapers, and they were used to give a point of brightness in satire. So what we can learn from that is maybe we can use our triolets to comment on the news of the day and use it to make satire and stuff like that. The earliest triolets in English are those of a monk called Patrick Carey, and that was released as part of a series of them in 1651. It was done most successfully by Austin Dobson, whose 5-part Rose Leaves is a masterpiece of ingenuity and easy grace. As an example, I'm going to read you the first stanza. Rose kissed me today, will she kiss me tomorrow? Let it be as it may, Rose kissed me today. But the pleasure gives way to a savour of sorrow. Rose kissed me today, will she kiss me tomorrow? So, what I like about this example is it does that thing of twisting the repeated lines to make it mean different things. So, like, the first couple of lines are like, Rose kissed me today, yeah! Will she tomorrow? Woohoo! Let it be as it may, Rose kissed me today. All happy. But the pleasure gives way to savour of sorrow. Which, like, that realisation of Rose has kissed me today, but will she tomorrow? And it's sort of like that, oh no, I really hope she kisses me today. And then obviously the rest of the poem goes on. But this is a cracking example of a triolet that we are going to emulate. Also, the triolet started getting used in German quite a lot during the 18th century and was a favourite of the German Romantic poets. But one of the things that's important to say here is that Friedrich Rassmann, he identified 3 types of triolets. The legitimate form, which is the form I just explained to you. Then there is the loose triolet, which is only approximately abides by the rules. So, like, for example, on the Wikipedia page, they say that the traditionally it's 8 lines, but can range anywhere from 7 to 9 lines. So that's what we would call a loose triolet. And then we have like the single strophe, I think it's called, which is basically a poem that accidentally ends up by becoming a triolet. And when it comes to mastering any poetic form, my advice is always to try to stick to the most strict version of that form and master that before starting to play with the rules and invent meaning. Because once you have truly mastered the form, then you can start playing with it a little bit more. So that is what we are going to do today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to work on my laptop, which is really unusual for me. I normally like to write by hand on notebooks and pens because it allows me to sort of scribble a little more. While the rules of what a triolet is doesn't say anything about a particular rhythm, we do know that the lines are short. So the first thing you've got to do when you're going to write a triolet is decide on your topic. My topic that I'm going to write a triolet about will be Avatar: The Last Airbender. So what I'm going to start by doing is kind of like just coming up with some ideas. I'm going to write some like short lines of poetry, and I'm just going to go and maybe like I'm going to set myself a timer for like 5 minutes, say, and just come up with a series of lines that I think could work quite well. I'm going to start a timer on my watch because there's too much going on everywhere else.
Yeah, so for this bit, I free wrote, I set myself a timer for 5 minutes and then worked from there. And generally, I was just using it to get a load of ideas down of different possible lines of poetry that I could use. The reason we're doing this is so that I can find the capital A, capital B lines. This will provide the couplet that gets repeated so many times.
So, I've got a series of things. They don't currently make sense. But one of the things we have to bear in mind is, okay, our rhyme scheme, I'm going to put it at the top here. So, I've done a sort of like free write with a load of like possible good, useful lines. I'm thinking of using, you probably have noticed that I've used a lot of words and phrases from the actual theme tune, just because it does a great job of actually telling us about the show. And maybe because I've been binge watching all the episodes, I feel like I've heard the intro a lot. So that's what I'm thinking of using. But it's also important to bear in mind that our rhyme scheme has a lot of A's in it. So the first line will be repeated 3 times, but in addition to that, it has to have 2 lines that rhyme with it. So that's something that is important. Am I just plagiarizing this? Kind of, but this is how I would approach writing it. If I didn't have a topic already, when it comes to writing difficult forms, I pick a subject and I riff on that. And often when it comes to writing something for the first time, when you're practicing, using some source material is really helpful. So if you haven't watched my how to write a pantoum video, you will know that I wrote a pantoum about Star Trek. So something to bear in mind. Wouldn't it be great if the word element rhymed with one of the elements? I think I have, so the first thing that I want to come up with is my first 2 lines, the first couplet that is also repeated at the end. And currently I'm debating between 2. So I'm going to write those two down, which is that's one version. And then the other one would be that's version 2, or we'd go. So the reason I've got these different versions is because the next step for me is going to be finding rhyming words. The reason being, especially line A, the opening line, has to be rhymed with a further 2 times. And you want as much flexibility with meaning and fun that you can have. So we're going to head to one of my favorite websites, Rhyme Zone. Look, if you came here thinking that I could just rhyme off the top of my head, then you didn't. You came to the wrong place. I can't do that. But I'm here to teach you how to write poems. And if you struggle to do rhyming, then Rhyme Zone is your friend and mine. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to start with Avatar, which is, I think we're going to struggle. Underneath Avatar here, I'm going to write travel far. That's a good one.
Yeah, so for the next section, what I did was just go back and forth trying to find different rhymes for the couplets that I found. In the end, I realised that the first one, only the Avatar master of all 4, and the last one, only the Avatar can master water, fire, earth, air, were the easiest ones to rhyme and gave me more options. And by the end, I realised that I was going to go for the final couplet that I wrote. So, yeah.
Okay, so now that we've decided on our couplet, this is very similar to my method on how to write a villanelle, by the way, which has a lot of repeating couplets. So once we've done that, we're just going to add in the opening lines that we've had. So then we've got 2 lines, the 3rd line and the 4th line all have to rhyme with master, but not be the same, obviously. So only the Avatar can master water, fire, earth, air to save us from complete disaster.
Yeah, so for this section, what I'm doing is just filling in like the lowercase letter bits. I keep going back and forth to Rhyme Zone to come up with different ways of rhyming, but in the end, my 3rd line was to save us from disaster. And then I sort of went back and forth about what I was going to do with the middle capital A. I ended up playing around with if only, because that was kind of nice. And then I wanted the second A to be faster. I toyed around with the idea of saying that Toff would be faster. But yeah, so I was basically just playing around and trying different ideas together. And the whole time I'm reading the poem out loud to myself to see which fits better. For me, reading the poem out loud is a really important part of the drafting process.
I have written a triolet. If I was interested in going further with this, I probably would have a lot of fun coming up with a bunch of triolets about all of the little in-jokes from the TV show, which I'm probably going to do at some point. If you're watching this and this video has been out for 6 months and I haven't posted about writing an entire series of triolets about Avatar The Last Airbender, then at me and I will finish these. But for now, I have finished my first triolet. Only the Avatar can master water, fire, earth, air to save us from disaster. If only the Avatar could master the elements a little faster, it'd be easier to work as a pair, but only the Avatar can master water, fire, earth, air. So that's a triolet. Let me run through my methods one more time if the chaos wasn't too much for you. Number one is to decide on your topic. I chose Avatar: The Last Airbender. Number two is to do a free write or a brainstorm of all of your favourite lines that could possibly be written about it. Don't forget to keep it short and snappy, and come up with a few options. Number three is to search for popular rhyming words. You can either search for it online or you can just brainstorm your own rhyming words. That's fine too. But I think it's important to have a backup of some rhyming words before you go into the writing stage. Number four is to create a table, or just write it down if you're writing on a bit of paper, just write down the rhyme scheme in the corner of the page so that you can make sure your repeated words are there as well. Then it's time to fill in the gaps using the things that you have, using the rhyming words to piece it all together. So number four is to do that. Number five is, when you are doing this, I urge you to consider enjambment and playing with the word slightly. We will notice that I did in this version slightly bend the capital A lines. So the first time I used the A was only the avatar can master, and then the second time I repeated that line was if only the avatar can master, and then the final one was but only. I would encourage you to use these because it really helps you to twist the words slightly, and it enables you to get different meanings out of the lines rather than just like repeating it all endlessly. It's hard to say something when 3 of your 8 lines are the same words repeated. So it's all about trying to bring new meanings to that line when the repetition happens. So ways that you can do that are by think about your connective words and but, if, all of that, especially if you keep it to 1 syllable, that can make it really, really more impactful. But also think about how you can use enjambment, especially with that middle A, to play around with the meaning a little bit more. That's my advice. That's how I think you should write a triolet. If you have written one as a result of this video, comment it in the comments down below, because I really want to read it. If you know of any really good examples of triolets written by someone else, by all means comment them as well. Give us the links. It is also worth saying that I discovered the triolet when reading Chloe Hanks's I Call Upon the Witches, which I reviewed on this channel a few weeks ago. You can watch that here, so make sure you do that. So that's it for this week's video. I hope you found it useful. Please let me know in the comments if you did. Please let me know in the comments if you want me to cover any other poetic forms. We are getting to the point where I am now exploring poetic forms that I am less familiar with. So these videos, as I continue to go through them, will start becoming a lot more Josie's learning with you. If you haven't already, watch the rest of my How to Write a Poem videos. I really love making these, so please go and check it out and comment whatever. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to keep up with what I'm posting. The engagement really helps small creators like me get found. And while we're on the subject, why don't you follow me on social media? I am at Josie Alford Poet on all of the things. If you did find this video useful and informative and you would like to show your appreciation with your money, then you can do so by joining me on Patreon or buying me a coffee. The links to do both are in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you all in the next video. Bye.